Hello. We actually didn't get a ton of registrations for this, and honestly, for a marketing company, we I don't put ad spend behind these. This is really my we'll send out blast emails for the webinar, and I'll post organically, but that's it. I don't put ad spend. I have in the past, but this is really just kind of the thing that I love to do, and it's my way of giving back, right? Like I don't have to do this. Really, everything that we go over today has nothing to do with a service that I sell at GrowPro. So like there's not even a pitch, right? Um, but I was surprised that there weren't more people that were interested in this topic, and maybe it's because they think they know how all the different ways there are to make money. But in their school, this was something I was really not good at until this concept was taught to me in 2015 when I joined Maya, and that's really what we're going to unpack today is how can you really turn one sale into multiple sales. And this is a skill that you can actually build, and this is going to be very tactical. You guys are going to leave with like 9 different ideas that you can implement immediately into your school to really help just generate more revenue, right? This isn't a nonprofit. We want to generate revenue in the company. If you are one of those martial arts school owners who think that you shouldn't make money, this is not the webinar for you. All right. So that's what we're going to be going over. What is EOS? That's the entrepreneurial operating system. It's basically like the internal communication system for your business. If you want to learn more about it, check out the book Traction by Gino Wickman. So let me go ahead, share the screen here. And let's dive into these integrated sales secrets, how to grow every single income stream. So I'm curious, just in the chat, what would you say is the single biggest income stream in your school right now? And most of you are just going to type in tuition. If you do that, I'd love to know what program, though. Is it like your basic program? Is it an upgrade program? Like, what is the single biggest income stream in your school right now? How are you making the bulk of the revenue that is coming in? If you can drop that in, let me know. All right, Mr. Steve, core program, Ms. Zimmerman, gear sales. Come on, guys, participate for me. Upgrades to higher level program. Yes, upgrades, monthly billing, kids and youth, learning about upgrades and other income sources, tuition, basic program. Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Core program, ages 3 to 12, beginning program, kids. Great. Okay. What is an income stream that you feel is underdeveloped? Right? Like, yeah, we're not really selling upgrades, or we just send people to a website to buy geese. Maybe that's it. All right. So let me know. All right. We've got merch. We've got upgrades and privates. Very good. Upgrades, private lessons and merch. Okay. Upgrades. Got it. Cool. Thanks so much for that feedback, because the gap right there is the opportunity, right? That's where we have the opportunity in our school. And we're going to touch on all of those different aspects when we're talking about the integrated sales. I think I was kind of joking earlier where I said, if you don't think martial arts schools should be making money, this isn't the webinar for you. But it's just so interesting that there is this like stigma in our industry around earning money in the martial arts. And what I would like to preface this is that everything we're going to cover today is only going to work if you offer a great product on the mat and a great service, right? Like that is the base foundation. We have to offer great product, great service. Okay. So my mission today is just to give you a very clear framework that's going to help you grow each and every income stream. And there aren't a lot in a martial arts schools. Like there is a limited way for you to make money. So we want to make sure we're ticking off each one of those boxes, but not through high pressured sales. That's not something I'm interested in offering in my companies. I want to make sure that it's mission aligned with everybody in the organization, including our clients, right? So that we can serve our students better. So we're going to talk about 3 ways a business generates revenue. We're going to talk about what your students are really worth and how to unlock that value. Super important that you know this number. We'll dive into the 5 profit centers, 5 different ways that you can make money in your school, what integrated sales really means and why most people miss it. And then I'm going to give you 9 real world examples that you can plug into your school right away so that you can turn kind of one transaction into multiple transactions. Okay. As always, code of conduct, stay fully engaged, be open-minded. Please take notes, something magical that happens when we go pen to paper. And if you're not a pen to paper person, then, at least typing it out. When I go to a lot of conferences, I was actually looking, I have like 25 trips this year. I go to a lot of conferences, one, because I speak at a lot of them, but I also sit and I watch as, an attendee. And I attend, mastermind sessions as well as webinars just like this, right? For agency owners, because I'm, always trying to learn. And what I think that most people miss is that you just need one takeaway. And that's all that I'm always looking for when I go onto a webinar. And I was actually on one 2 weeks ago. It was this agency talking about AI. It was so bad within 7 minutes I hopped off because I was like, the presentation style wasn't landing for me. It's, kind of like, hey, if you start a book and the book stinks, you don't have to finish the book. I was like that person, like, oh, I gotta finish this book. I put it on my list. You don't need to try and implement all 9 of these takeaways that I'm gonna give you, just one, right? So if something lands, write it down. If you have questions, please ask. And let's go ahead and dive in. So I think the number one question that consultants in the martial arts industry, and I would say even in the agency world, because I coach other agency owners, it's instead of that saying I want more students, it would say I want more clients. And it's the number one question that consultants get asked. But what it actually means, and it's just because I think we're like kind of, trying to be humble and not asking like at the root, it's like, I just want more money, like more students. Yes, that means you're going to make a bigger impact. But come on, let's be real here. More students means more revenue. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that I made as a newer school owner was the focus was so heavy on new students being that kind of gap of more revenue. And it's not the only way. And I think if you and your team have that shift, that new students is just one of the 5 profit centers, not all of them, and we can start stacking these profit centers on top of each other, you're ultimately going to make more money. And I think it's just interesting that some people don't, actually say that. We're not a nonprofit business. When you have more profit in your business, that means you get a better lifestyle. You get a better lifestyle. And if you get a better lifestyle and you're happier, you are going to provide a better service and you get to provide careers to your employees. And then you get to reinvest those profits back into the school so you can offer even more to your students. And I think for the most part, school owners, have been taught how to sign up a student. I mean, not all of them, right? We meet a lot of clients in GrowPro where we ask them like, well, what's your enrollment process? And they don't really have one. It's like, oh, they show up, take a class, and then we give them this paper that has our, prices on them. And it's like, that's not really an enrollment process, right? So you might have a way that you sign up students and maybe you sell gear and, you run graduations and belt tests, but it's not really the system behind how each sale can fuel the next one. And I just ultimately want you to be able to provide as much value to your students, and in return, you will be paid for that. Okay. So very famous. I heard this for the first time from Tony Robbins, but I'm sure he got it from, one of his mentors. But there's 3 ways a business can generate sales. You can get people to pay, you can get those people to pay more, and you can get those people to pay more often, right? So like get people to pay, well, that's like your basic core program. That's your tuition, right? Get people to pay more. Well, we can upgrade them, right? We can provide them more value and we can charge more for it and get people to pay more often? Well, we can sell them retail. We could do special events. We could do private lessons. And what we have to understand is that this business model is successful across all industries, right? If you're wanting to purchase an airline ticket, right, like they get you to pay through buying the ticket, you pay more now with upgrades, right? Like, do you want Wi-Fi? Do you want more leg room? Do you want to sit in first class? I mean, some now even charge you for like water, right? Like, do you want snacks and drinks? Like, they're trying to nickel and dime everything, right? And then how do they get you to pay more often? Well, they give you things like frequent flyer miles, right? So the airline industry has this down. I mean, purchasing a car, same thing, right? You've got the, how do they get you to pay? You buy the car. How do they get you to pay more? Do you want heated seats, right? I love heated seats, even in Florida, even when it's 100 degrees outside. I don't know. Maybe it's because like I'm 40 now and my lower back hurts all the time, but I love me a good heated seat. And then how do they get you to like pay more often? Like oil changes, right? Hey, come back. You could buy this oil change package. Gym memberships. You got the membership. So many of them are now doing like add-ons for sauna and cold plunge or special classes, and personal training sessions. So every successful business model has this, and your school should have it as well. All right. And we really need to start with what each student is worth. And we call this student value. And, I know a lot of you on this hopefully know what your student value is. This is a number that you should be tracking consistently. And you just take your revenue and divide it by your active count. So how much money came in for the month? How many students did we end with? And that is your student value. And it's interesting because there are schools that have 300 students that make less money than schools that have 200 students. How is that possible? Well, it's possible because they have a higher student value. Okay, that school that has 200 students that is making more revenue, they have a higher student value because they've figured out integrated sales and they're leveraging all 5 of the profit centers. And I think there's arguments both ways. Which school would you rather have, the 200 students or the 300 students? Well, 300 students is going to require more work. It's more effort, right? Ms. Jen, I think you guys have over 500 students. That's a lot more work than a school that has 200 students, right? Not saying that you have a student value problem, but just kind of sharing numbers here. 300 students is more work than 200 students, which also requires more team, right? Which increases your payroll, which is one of the biggest expenses that we have in a martial arts school. And it's really the reason why your active count is a vanity metric. It's an important metric, but it shouldn't be the only metric that we show, because there are schools out there that are making more at 200 students than, schools that have 300. So like, how can that even be possible, right? That your student value is lower than your monthly price. Let's say you're charging $150 per month, but you do the revenue divided by the active count and your student value is $120 per month. How could that be if you're charging $150? It's usually because of massive family discounts. That's typically where we start to see student value really dropping below. Also, if maybe you have never increased rates on certain students, and I'm not here to talk about whether or not you should do that. You should absolutely be increasing your prices, year after year. It doesn't need to be massive shifts, but I know a lot of schools that have that built into their agreement where there is a certain percentage increase. So one of the ways that the student value could be lower than the monthly price is just because you have a ton of old students. Back when you first started, you charged $100. You don't have upgrade programs. You haven't implemented those yet. And that's why the student value can be lower than the monthly price. Now, how can the student value be higher? So let's say you are charging $150 per month for your basic program, but you have a student value of $200. That's an example of a school that is leveraging all of these profit centers. And we're about to dive into each of them. That's a school that, maybe they have a down payment or a higher amount with a package when somebody first comes on, or their students are participating in activities, right? Such as graduations and parent night out events and parent day out events and tournaments and things like that. And it's probably a school that has upgrades, right? They're changing the level of experience. So it really starts with understanding where your student value is. And I want you to just do that number calculation real quick. You could do it based off of May's numbers. So how much revenue came in for May, and then you divide it by your active count. That's going to tell you how much each student is worth. And you should be aiming to increase that student value year over year. When I was a part of Maya as a school owner, they really pushed for us to have $185 student value. And this was a few years ago. Now we've actually pushed that number higher. We want to see on average each student being worth $200 per student. So make sure you know where your student value is at. It's going to just give you a good understanding in terms of, how much I am charging, how many discounts have I been given. And if your student value isn't reaching up towards that $200 per month, more than likely you're not integrating all of these different profit centers. So Chris, keep saying profit centers. What are there? There are 5. There are only 5 different ways of making money in your school. And number 1 is the one that we all want to focus on, right? The new students. How can I get new students? I want more new students. This is, the recruiting aspect of what we do. And this is absolutely one way that you can, bring in revenue in your school, but it does not end there. The second one is upgrades. And what I thought was really interesting is the majority of you said that the area of growth, the area of like room for improvement that you have the most are in upgrades. And what I will tell you is, after consulting so many schools over the years, when a school, typically tells me they didn't hit their goal, right? And I consult, school owners inside of Maya, the Martial Arts Industry Association. It's usually always because they didn't hit their upgrade nomination number. However many that they were set out to nominate, they didn't hit that number, which means they didn't upgrade the amount of students that they were aiming for. So this really is the profit center that I believe has the most impact on your revenue. But one, if you don't offer upgrades, then how can you leverage that, right? It's like I said, there's only 5 ways. You're like, Chris, I don't do upgrades. I don't sell retail. We don't do special events. Okay, well, then now your 5 profit centers just went down to 2, okay? Next is going to be retail. And, I personally had a love-hate relationship with just inventory in general in my martial arts school, especially when you start, getting big numbers, 300 plus students. There can be a lot of money kind of sitting in that, closet. And we also really don't want to be looked at some mom and pop shop. And I've been there. Have any of you ever been there where it was time for somebody to earn a belt and you didn't have that belt size in stock? Like, man, that's not a good feeling, right? It's just not a good feeling at all. And I have been there. I'm sure many of you have been in there. The thing with retail is that your margins have to make sense. And this is important that you are staying up to date with what is your cost and what is your cost with shipping, because that's something that we don't, sometimes think about. And that could really, add up on top of whatever your cost is for the equipment. So we want to make sure that those margins make sense. But I can't tell you, and this is very prevalent in the BJJ community. You don't typically see this in traditional martial arts or Taekwondo schools. The jiu-jitsu school that I grew up in and trained at in my 20s, you could wear whatever you want. You could wear any uniform, any color, any rash guard, any spats, anything like that. And it was a huge loss in retail. They did not require you in any way to purchase retail from the school. And, finally, I was able to talk to the owner. I was the general manager and eventually owned half of the kids program. And, was able to show him the amount of money that he was leaving on the table, but also what it was doing to the culture of the school. And when I launched the kids program in there, because I had a background in Taekwondo, it was very clear, these are the uniforms. You start in a white uniform. It represents the beginning of your journey. You can go to our elite program, which is a blue uniform, and it's not just the uniform that they're getting. There's obviously additional, value adds as well. But you could see kind of the light bulb go off when I first explained to him, the importance of, yes, you should keep this in stock, because otherwise, like, they're just going to go get it somewhere else. And now, instead of 5 profit centers, you're only leveraging 4. Okay. Next is retention. And I think this is just the unsexy topic that, nobody likes talking about, because getting more new students is just a sexier topic. Last year's MyEcon, I did a keynote called the Retention Resolver. I think it's probably one of my top 5 keynotes I've ever given. And we really dove into the numbers of, like, if you can lower your churn by 1%, the average in the industry is 5%. So that means if you have 100 students each month and you average a 5% churn, you're losing 5 students a month. So if you gain 5 students, you stay even, right? That's how, like, at the beginning of the year, you can start with 100 students, and at the end of the year, you still have 100 students, because you're not outselling the churn. And this truly, I think, is where a lot of schools have the most potential for improvement, but they just don't realize that a 1% lowering, going from 5% to 4% or 5% to 3%, can literally add tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, depending on how many students you have on your roster, to your bottom line. And it's just not as sexy as a conversation. And then we have special events, and we do lump in, private lessons with special events. These are your tournaments. These are your parent night outs. These are your parent day outs. We were big with parent night out, but we noticed a lot of our younger kids didn't participate because it went to like 9 o'clock, and the parents were like, I don't want my kid out that late, then I got to go pick them up. So we started offering parent day outs during Saturdays, and we would sell them out. And we noticed, like, a lot of the younger age groups would go to that daytime parent day out. So all of just the different special events, tournaments, parent night outs, parent day outs, your private lessons get lumped into that, is your 5th profit center. The way to easily remember this is the acronym NURSE. It's obviously not spelled right, so NURRS, but that's how I've always been able to remember, like, these are the 5 profit centers, and remembering NURRS. Okay. So I asked you this earlier, which one, you felt like you were doing well at, and which area of improvement. Now, like, officially, these are the 5 profit centers. So let's get into some examples of how you can integrate this. And what is integrated sales? It's just using one sales event to create another. That's all that means. All right. And I'm going to give you 9 examples that you can go back and you can implement immediately. One of them is seasonal. So you wouldn't be able to do this one immediately. You'd have to wait till next year, but the concept and the system still remains true. Okay. So 9 examples of how you can integrate your sales. So first and foremost, yes or no, how many of you host in-house tournaments? So, like, tournaments in your school. Let me know in the chat, yes or no. Do you do that? Two yeses, 1 no. Mr. Sweeney, we gotta do a tournament here, sir. Yes, 2 a year. Mr. Johnson, no. Okay. Regardless if you categorize your school as a competition school, I think we'd all agree that there are absolute benefits to our students going out there and competing. And the great part is when you do it in-house, you get to control the environment. I don't know about you, but I have been to some really crazy Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments where the tournament director, really didn't care about the culture that was being presented, the values that were being presented. You've got parents screaming, break the arm, choke them out, hitting the mat. You've got parents and coaches getting in the face of referees. Like, you don't get to control that, right? And it's definitely not aligned with the culture in my school. So we used to be really big in doing outside tournaments. And, the thing is it's very expensive, right? It's very expensive for your students to go out to these tournaments and invest in that time and energy and, the effort, sending coaches out to it. And there just is a better way. And the better way is hosting an in-house tournament. So we charge for these. I think what you charge should be based off of the value of the tournament. How many people are going to be competing? Are you giving out medals? Are you giving out trophies? We typically will charge around $50, and we get medals from Crown Awards. One of the best companies that I've ever, they have like super quick turnaround, which is really great as well. So we charge for that. But okay, Chris, so, maybe I've got, 50 people that compete and I'm charging them $50, and I think what can happen is like, I mean, to me, that's a considerable amount of money. When you start adding all of these integrated sales, they start stacking up. So don't look at this and be like, oh, that's only $2,000. I mean, $2,000 might be some of your rent, right? I mean, that might help cover some of your rent. But what else could we offer that is tied into hosting the tournament? Well, you could absolutely offer a special event in terms of tournament prep private lessons. So we sell a ton of private lessons leading up to the tournament, and we present it and market as get prepped for the upcoming in-house tournament. And we sell these in packages. You can buy them in 3, in 5, and in 10. And the focus of the private lesson is to prepare them for the tournament. So talking about mindset, talking about, what should you do leading up to it, making sure you're coming to class, practicing at home, watching, different matches, learning the rule set, and helping them prepare for that tournament, no matter what style that you're doing. Okay. So that's another way that you could turn that $50. Well, now maybe somebody bought a $200 private lesson package to help get them ready for the tournament. You could also sell, and you can do this based off of their registration. When they register, hey, for an extra $20, would you like to get our tournament t-shirt? And now you are integrating a sale of retail. So just from the tournament alone, we're making revenue off of the special event of the tournament. We're making more revenue, another special event in terms of the private lessons, and we're doing an additional tournament t-shirt. Okay, so 3 different ways. And the other way of tying in upgrades would be upgrade nominations at the tournament. So I highly recommend making upgrade nominations as a part of your, monthly to-dos, let's say, right? You got a list of tasks and actions that you need to do on a monthly basis, and upgrade nominations are one of those. So in our school, you cannot just buy our elite or master's program. Everybody starts on the basic program. That's training 2 times a week, and they learn basic jujitsu and judo in that program. Our elite program, which is the next level up, they get an additional training day, but it's not just more of the same. Now they get to start learning kickboxing, punches and kicks, and Muay Thai. And then at the top level, which is our masters, hey, you learned the ground game with the jiu-jitsu and the judo. We taught you the kickboxing with the elite program. Now we're going to tie it all together with MMA. So it's not like they're just getting more jiu-jitsu, all right? That is kind of the difference between, like, when you sell a package, do you want to trade 2 days a week, 3 days a week, or 4 days a week? It's just more of the same. The upgrade, and I think the best way to offer an upgrade program, is providing a different type of value, okay? So we want to do those upgrade nominations consistently throughout the month. But what we have found is that upgrade nominations work really well when you do special events too, because they're already kind of hyped up and excited. So nominating, let's say you had a student that was on your watch list, they go and compete at the tournament and they take first place. You could nominate them at the tournament in front of their peers in the ring to be nominated to that next level upgrade program that you have. So now we're taking special events, we're taking that retail, and we're taking upgrades, and we're tying it all together, okay? For those of you that aren't currently running tournaments, I think this is a huge profit center that you are missing out on. And I would highly recommend that you consider, and I think like $50 is on the lower end of charging, depending on, the setup and how many helpers you have and just your confidence in running tournaments. It is a really, really great profit center that challenges your students. I mean, I do not believe I would be the person that I am today if it wasn't for competing. And I competed in Taekwondo, I competed in Jiu-Jitsu, had the opportunity to compete all over the world. There are just so many life lessons that come out of competition, and you get to control the environment. You're the one that gets to train up the kids for it. And it's just a really awesome profit center, and it's something you could literally do. We do it, I think, 3 or 4 times a year. It was either quarterly or it was 3 times a year. And you can even do different types of, tournaments. So depending on the style, if maybe you want to do a weapons focused tournament, or you wanted to do a sparring focused tournament, or, you could do a jujitsu tournament. We've done a wrestling tournament before. Are there any playbooks on putting this together for a Krav MMA school? Mr. Steve, send me an email, midgettwister@gmail. I do have a training that I did on how to host an in-house tournament that I can send you. Okay. It was with the old consulting company that I own called the A-Team. I did a training for them. I'm like 99% sure I still have the recording, and I can send that over. Now, we're not Krav, but we are MMA, so I think that would help. And oh, look at that, Mr. Fusaro. There we go. We got our Maya CMA family coming out here. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Okay. All right. So here's one thing that you can implement. One registration fee turned into 4 different integrated sales. Okay. Next up, parent night out. Yes or no? Are you offering parent night out events? Grab a drink while you guys are doing that. All right. The majority of you, yes. Awesome. So that means this should be a no-brainer, right? So your parent night out is a special event. And some of these special events, you can offer some form of retail purchase. Now get this, I'm a BJJ school. We don't do weapons, but you know what? We've done a ninja nunchuck night, and we've done a bow staff night. And we have sold both of those as a package with our parent night out event, because what kid doesn't want to mess around with a bow staff or with nunchucks? All right. So you can charge for the actual event, and then what you can do is you can increase the amount if they are going to keep the nunchuck, keep the bow staff, insert whatever weapon. And I know more of the traditional martial arts schools, weapons might be a part of your curriculum. So could it be an additional add-on? Maybe instead of like regular nunchucks, it's glow nunchucks. Okay. So you can make money off of the registration fee. You can also add on a weapon purchase, and then we can tie it into new students. One of my favorite things that I used to do before I really had like P&Os down to a science, because for us, we just put out a registration form at the front desk, and we make an announcement. It's in our newsletter, and then just Matt Chat's announcements, and our parent night out events sell out. Like every single time we do it, they sell out. But if you're just getting started with these, you could offer, hey, if you register for the parent night out event, you can actually bring a friend for free. Or if you wanted to do a discount off of that. So now you are generating a new lead of somebody that comes into your school. Now, I get it. The kid is coming because they're doing something fun, right? Maybe you're doing like a nuclear dodgeball or a Nerf night or something like that. But again, you're getting them in your school, and now they are on your lead list. So the next time you do maybe an email blast for, your back to school trial package, they are going to get that email. So now we're turning in this special event, we're adding in retail, and we're potentially adding a new student with helping to grow our list, because you can bring a friend for free or a discounted amount. Okay. And you could even do something like creating urgency. First 5 people that enroll get to bring a friend for free, if you want to kind of create some urgency with getting people in. Okay. So that is tactic number 2. Number 3. And I think this is where a lot of schools are not leveraging all of these. So when a new student enrolls, okay, and I don't have time to go through the entire Maya ABCD pricing structure, but with us, if you choose option A, we do 4 options. I don't believe 4 options is too many options. I personally One of my like life quotes and lessons is life is better with options. And when you do provide people options, it does help them with budgeting. And it also helps you to provide a range of costs depending on what their budget is. So option A is a paid in full. Option B, there's a down payment with a monthly payment. Same thing with option C and same thing with option D. So we do a $399 down payment, $299 down payment, and $199 down payment. Okay. So if you don't have your pricing structure set up for that with that down payment, because we sell a program, we sell a 12-month program that has a full cost, and the down payment is going towards that cost of the program. And the larger the down payment is, the lower your monthly payment is as well. It's why me and Mr. Sweeney could go and buy the same exact car, but have two different payments because one of us put more money down. Okay. So we use that kind of same concept and philosophy. So when we're getting a new student, we're getting that down payment. We're also getting the monthly recurring payment, unless they did the paid in full option, which is option A. And then we also have a new student package. Guys, every single sport that kids go to, there are items that the parents have to purchase. Parents are used to this, okay? And you absolutely should have some form of new student package, whether, depending on what style you teach, this is going to be different. It might be, a little backpack with the uniform and a mouthpiece and, a punch mitt, okay, as an example. So immediately, with the way that we have it set up, we're getting a down payment, we're getting the monthly payment, and we are charging for the new student package. You also have the opportunity to ask for a referral. And this is something that I don't think a lot of schools have built into their enrollment process. And it's just, a simple conversation. We find that, people that train with their friends often have a lot more fun and they stick to it longer. Is there anybody that you think that your child would enjoy doing this with, or that you would enjoy doing this with? Okay. This is also your opportunity to provide them with VIP passes as well. So in your new student packet, we have an actual like folder that we provide them. We give them VIP passes and let them know about the referral program. Okay. The schools, get this, the schools that have the most successful referral program are the schools that tell their students and families about their referral program. Imagine that. Okay. Also an opportunity for you to start planting the seed on future sales with parent night out events or private lessons. So you could put a coupon in that new student package, 20% off of your next event or your private lesson. So now we're taking that new student profit center, we're adding in retail, we're adding in potential new students with referrals, and we're adding in potential new signups for special events in the future by providing them with the coupon. Okay. Is there anything in here that you're currently not doing that you think might be aligned with something that you would like to do? Or maybe you're doing all of it. Let me know, like, oh, I'm not asking for the referral, or, oh, I'm not giving VIP passes, or no, we're not, selling new student packages. Anything in there that maybe you can add in? 20% off coupon. I'm not asking for referral, VIP passes, need to enhance how we're asking for referrals, new student packages. All right, awesome. So we have at least something that we can take away here. So that's number 2. Number 3, graduations. This is not my idea. This was stolen from Mr. Adam Parman, who is one of our Maya consultants. But I thought this was pretty neat. Does anybody do graduation ceremonies? Yes or no? In the chat, whether you call it a belt ceremony, graduation ceremony, some testing, anything like that. Let me know. Yes or no in the chat. All right, we got a yes. We got a belt ceremony. Okay, maybe not a ton of you, but if you do, you can turn this special event. I mean, we host them twice a year in my school. We do one in June and one in December. And it's, a big deal. We have families, bring the grandparents and the cousins and all of that. But one way to turn this into new students is providing invitations to the graduation. So if you are hosting this, you can have these printed out that you can give to your students, where they can put the date, the time, the address of wherever that is. Maybe you host it at your school. I know a lot of people rent out like the local high schools because they just don't have enough space, or the local elementary schools, and do them like in the gymnasium. But now you can provide them with this invitation to give to their friends, and now their friends are coming to the ceremony. And the one thing that it's funny, like I get asked often, like, Chris, what's the number one marketing strategy like that, every martial arts school owner should implement? It doesn't matter what industry you are in. The number one marketing strategy in the world is to become famous. Guys, like, think about it. Like The Rock, he could come up with any business and sell anything, and he's going to be successful. Kylie Jenner, same thing. Taylor Swift, same thing. We don't need to become famous with the entire world. You need to become famous within a 5-mile radius of your school. And that just means people need to know about you. And this is one way to get the people that don't know about you into your school to see about what you do, simply by just providing an invitation to check out the graduation. Okay. Next up, birthday parties. Yes or no? Do you offer birthday parties? Yes or no? Miss Jen is like, no, we do not. Ooh, a lot of no's. A lot of people in the camp of no. All right, Ms. Zimmerman, you might be the only one. Maybe this can help turn some of the no's into yeses. Maybe some of you are like, just nope, not. And look, that's fine as well, right? And I know plenty of successful schools that utilize them and plenty that don't. But if you are offering a birthday party, that would fall into the special events profit center, right? And one way for you to, because I think one of the reasons people do say yes to birthday parties is because, oh, well, I'm going to get 10 to 15 to 20 non-students in my school, or, maybe half of them are students because the students who, the person, the birthday party girl or boy invites some of their friends from class. But one of the things that you can do is create a birthday trial. So anybody that comes to the birthday party, they are going to get a trial. And what that trial is completely up to you. Maybe you do a 2-week trial, maybe you do a 4-week trial, but you got to make sure that you are email and texting that trial offer. Where I see most schools, they do the birthday parties and they're like, okay, I made $300, $400, but it was a lot of work. It's a lot of kids. It's a lot of energy going on, right? That was the big thing that I didn't like about birthday parties, was just that type of energy in my school. Like, this is supposed to be like a disciplined and focused place. And like, what do kids think of when they go to a birthday party? Like a loud trampoline arena or Chuck E. Cheese, right? But you need to make sure that they have a way of knowing that there is a special offer for them. So email and texting that trial offer, making announcements to the parents at the end of the party as well. Most schools just offer the birthday party, and they look at that as a way to generate revenue with the special event, but they're not doing a great job on the follow-up with how can we turn those leads now into new students, okay? So I'm not here to convince you to do it one way or the other, but if you are doing it, make sure you are also doing the follow-up actions as well, okay? Upgrade nominations. This is the actual, these are like printed in our school. We call them like menu marketing boards. So we've got our basic program, our elite program, and our master's program. It's out of order. Sorry, it should be basic, elite, and master's. But when you are upgrading, the same way as when they come in and they do their, basic package, and there is a package that they are going to have to purchase, there should be an additional package that is required for your upgrade as well. So now you're not just increasing the monthly revenue, which for us, we got an additional down payment when they upgraded. Their monthly tuition increased as well because they're getting more value, they're getting to train more, but they also had to purchase the retail package because, hey, now that you're, in the elite program, you're going to start doing kickboxing, you're going to need kickboxing gear. Now that you're in the MMA program, you're going to start doing MMA, now you're going to need additional equipment. Okay. So for those of you that, said like upgrades are, an area where you have room for improvement, what that really means is just you need to start making your upgrade nomination list before the end of the month so let's say, we're at kind of towards a little past the middle of June. So for July, and this is, kind of like a lookout list. And this is a conversation that you need to have with your instructors if they're the ones that are teaching the class. You pull a report of everybody that is in your basic program. For us, we typically looked at nominating around month 3 or 4, just with the way that our curriculum is set up. And, we are BJJ school. It does take a little bit longer for them to earn rank. They're not earning a rank every 3 months, how a lot of traditional martial arts schools do it. So we usually start looking at them at month 3 and 4. So you could very simply pull a report from your CRM and you can categorize it about when they started. And you can start looking at, all right, this person's been here 3 months now, 4 months now. That doesn't mean they just get nominated. Like, this is not a participation trophy award. We're just letting everybody in. It's a conversation with the instructors. Hey, have they been consistent with their training? Have they been respectful? Are they trying their hardest? Are they being a good team member? And then we go and speak with the parent to make sure that everything's good at home. Last thing you want to do is, congratulate the kid for rocking and rolling in your school, but at home, they're having a bunch of problems, and at school, they're having a bunch of problems as well. So for most schools that are struggling with upgrades, it's because you're kind of missing this first step of creating that lookout list and this upgrade nomination list. Okay. And what we actually did is on our clipboard where we have all of our lesson plans, we also have that upgrade list because there's a couple of steps that, you have to do. You have to nominate them. We invite them to come and try the class out. So did that happen? Before all of that, did we talk to the parent about whether or not we can upgrade them? So we just have that list that's on our lesson plan clipboard, and we write in all the names. All right, spoke with the parent, checked, nominated, check, came to class, check, and now we can upgrade them. So what I find is most schools that are struggling with upgrades, it's just because they don't have this nomination process dialed in, okay? Mr. Johnson, part of our new student value package referral for the birthdays, and then name on board, great conversion tool for birthday party guests. Absolutely. I'm a big fan of board breaking, even though we're a BJJ school. Graduation. So another way to increase revenue in terms of when you're hosting graduations is offering test prep private lesson packages. So the same way you do that for your tournaments, you can now do this for your graduation. So you have a graduation ceremony coming up, you can offer that test prep. And just like we like nominating during kind of those they're just at this kind of like peak level of excitement. At a tournament, you could do the same thing at the graduation ceremony. So nominating them at the graduation ceremony and offering test prep private lesson packages. You're taking that special event, you're adding in you're taking that special event, you're adding in a special event and a potential upgrade. Okay, so that is, I think we're on number 5 or 6. Okay. Now, unfortunately, this just passed. So this is the one that you can't implement immediately. I'm curious, yes or no, did you do something for Mother's Day or Father's Day for your families in your school? Let me know. We got yes, both. Yes, first year we didn't. Okay. Highly recommend this. I mean, this is something I think we're on like our 9th year of doing this. We do a Mother's Day class and a Father's Day class. Mom earned their pink belts, dads earn their camo belts. And what's so cool is each year they get another stripe. And we literally have parents that have like 7 stripes on their belt because their kid has been there so long. I mean, to me, that is just like, that is the coolest thing. They absolutely love it. And we don't charge for this. We eat the cost of the pink belt and the camo belt because I look at this as a retention. This is totally a retention event. The same way that you have a marketing budget to get new students, you should have a marketing budget to keep your students. This is part of that marketing budget, right? So it's totally under the retention, profit center. But how do you turn it into new students? Well, you need to have an offer. And I just think so often, for whatever reason, instructors are like nervous about pitching that offer. Like, hey, you get to train for, a month with the purchase of a uniform. You could get, if you're doing a trial package, whatever that is. But all it is a couple of sentences at the end of this event and then following up with the parents who participated to see if they are interested. And this is how you can turn a retention event into a new student event. Member appreciation days. This was something that we started very early on at Gracie Pack. And again, this is something that does cost us money, but I don't look at it as a cost. I look at it as an investment. We're investing in retaining our students. So we do member appreciation days twice a year, and we do it on like a Monday, Tuesday, or a Wednesday, Thursday, because we have an A day, B day, C day schedule. So if we do it on Monday and Tuesday, that means we're hitting all of the classes. That's why we do it 2 days instead of just 1. And we usually get like drinks. We've had a taco truck come out. We've had great B2B relationships with companies like Evos and Tijuana Flats, and they donated food, which has been really great. But we just, say thank you to all the members for being there, and then we provide food on our member appreciation day. But we'll also do discounts on retail, so like 10% off or 20% off. And you also have the ability to do that like on holidays, right? So leveraging these holidays, like St. Patrick's Day or like Valentine's Day, to help generate more, revenue in the school during that time. Okay. One of my favorites, not a lot of people talk about this, parent coaches orientation. Look, yes, the student is the one on the mat, but the parent is the one that is paying. And there's a lot of information that occurs in the enrollment process. Well, I think we'd all agree, like there's a lot of stuff we're telling them, and they're not going to retain all of it. So what we like to do is we do this once a quarter. We call it the parent coaches orientation. Any new students, families who signed up within the last 90 days, we invite them to this. We've typically done them on Saturdays. And it's a great retention event because we are just people often need to be reminded more than they need to be taught, right? And we're just reminding them of all the great value that our school provides. We have a little keynote that we share that basically gives like a little history of the company. We go through like, these are the team members, talk about our different programs so we can continue to future proof the fact that we want them in the upgrade program. So we talk about those, talk about all the different events that we do. And it's to help educate the parent, right? And we also go over like, these are what champion MMA parents do, right? They're not coaching from the sideline. They're not yelling at their child during the water break. They're making sure their child has all of their, equipment and uniform is clean and things like that. Okay. So it's really just a great educational activity. But it's great for retention. And then we also let the parents know we'd love to have you as members. We go over our adult schedule so you can then potentially get new students. And then we also do some form of a retail play, whether that's, hey, if you buy anything today, you can get 10% off, or you can get a free, month of training if you purchase a uniform, which would be like a trial special. Okay. Not a lot of schools do this. And this was something that I felt was pretty unique that we offered that was really great on getting the parent on the same page. Okay. So before we wrap up, I'd love to know, I went over 9 different examples here. Is there any other way that you are integrating sales? Like you do this one thing, but it's also helping you increase sales in a different area of your school. Anything that anybody wants to share that maybe has been working really well for them? And then I'm going to give you guys your action steps here. So you can unmute. Anybody want to take a stab? Master Fred, outreach programs into members to our school. Absolutely. Besides being famous, I do believe the absolute best marketing strategy is partners in education, right? Having some partnership with a local elementary school. It was one of the ways that we were able to grow really, really well. Seminars with guest instructors. Yeah. So bringing in a guest instructor, that would be that's like one stream of revenue. How could we tie in maybe, something else? And maybe that could be, hey, during this seminar, maybe you're bringing in somebody that is like a kickboxer, right? Hey, we're going to do 10% off of all boxing gloves or shin guards at the seminar. That would be a way to kind of integrate those two things, right? Or if maybe you're bringing in like a world champ BJJ guy, it's like, all right, we're going to do 10% off of gis today, right? So what I would really encourage everybody to do is just look at your calendar for the next 3 months. I would hope that you have some event on your calendar in the next 3 months. If you don't have an event on your calendar in the next 3 months, you and we need to have a conversation. All right. But I would look at that calendar and just ask yourself, how can I integrate more sales opportunities, right? I'm doing this special event. Is there a way that I could tie in new students? Or I'm doing, this upgrade thing. Is there a way to tie in retail? And just do one. And this is, like I said, it's a skill that you're just going to have to start building. But I think like once you do it once, like it kind of unlocks like, oh, Okay, if I am going to sell something, well, let me see what else I can put on the back end of it. And again, I don't feel like anything we went over was nickel and diming. It was just, hey, I'm going to provide you more value. And if you want to, take us up on it, then feel free to. Okay. Do you have an events calendar you set up for the whole year? I do. I've taught this annual planning session to a lot of our Maya clients and our Grow Pro clients. I think that could be a little overwhelming for some schools. I am an A-type personality, like super like OCD with that, super organized, and not everybody's like that. I would at least recommend doing it quarterly. Okay. So having that like 3 months out, I think is a really good place to start. I like just having the whole year because now my staff knows like, hey, there are certain dates that I need you here, the graduation ceremonies, the tournaments days, like, and they know like, okay, this is, we're going to be required to come into the work during that time. So I do it for the entire year, but I think that could be overwhelming. So at least 3 months at a time. All right. Great question. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys hopping on with me today. Just figure out one way to integrate additional sales. As always, if you need anything, feel free to reach out to me, and I hope everybody makes it an awesome day. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.